adopt it, doesn't it?
Yeah. No, totally. 100% I'm speaking theoretically here. But I totally think. I mean, you see it in the Olympics. Colin, don't we see it in the Olympics? I know a medal is on the line, partner. I know maybe more at stake.
It's a little different than midseason. The one thing I'll say in combat to that is, I mean, I can't speak to whether this would happen or not, but the way I look at it is, I weirdly enough, I think the hockey player can resonate with, he mentioned the citizens of the United States, the people of the United States, the ones that, this is what they have. This is the fun. This is the unification of sports, and especially countrywide, domestically. This is, arm in arm. The basketball players are almost on their own cloud. They're almost in their own little world.
They are.
The hockey player, I don't think necessarily sits in that same throne. Maybe it's because of the amount of money that they're not paid, or the amount of power that either they have or they don't have. I think they're maybe relate a little bit more, and they embody the representation aspect of playing for Team USA. Now, I'm not saying the basketball players don't do that. I'm saying there's a question on whether they would do that if it's something with all sharp break. Olympics is one thing, because the Olympics is timeless, and that's what it is. But if you're going to fabricate a tournament and try to put together stakes and manufacture stakes, not similarly to the Olympics, but like the Four Nations, the part of me fights back thinking that the basketball player does not necessarily have that pride of representation of the people that you totally did. You saw in the Four Nations throughout that tournament.
And you hit the nail on the head with the relatability thing. NFL players, NHL players, baseball players. I feel like all of them are more relatable than the NBA player. And I don't know if it's getting told how great they are throughout the AAU circuit when they're growing up. I think maybe that has
the baseball player and the hockey player, definitely there's something to that.
Yeah, and I listen, this isn't me. I played AAU basketball. This isn't me pooping all over AAU basketball. But like, these young players are getting told how great they are from the moment they step into the circuit. I wonder if it has a little bit to do with it. I wonder if it has a little bit to do with just game. It's just they think they're bigger than the average person. And I stand by what I said. NBA, NHL, MLB, NFL, NHL, all three of those players and that specific player, a lot more relatable than the current basketball player right now.
Well, you got to think about it. There's something to be said about the style of play. It's me all throughout up until you get to college. Half of them don't even play in college or even care about being a great player in college. So there's that. That's more the team style. But then you get to the NBA where it turns into me all over again. Baseball. Now, a great player does not propel them into World Series contention. It is a team style environment. I'm not saying it's the same with basketball, but basketball, great players can carry you. And then with hockey, it's the same thing. McDavid's great, but McDavid needs a good team around him. And you saw that for the first half of his career. It really wasn't enabled till the team started getting propped up a little bit that you were able to really see and exude his talents, because you're only on the ice for a couple minutes at a time in each line, in each shift. Mm-hmm. So it's a different type of team environment where growing up, getting up to the pros and continuing to play at a professional level, it's a little bit less individualized. And individualized, it's hard to all of a sudden kind of buy into the program and look to embody something that's bigger than yourself. Maybe we are just raining on the parade of the basketball players, but maybe because they're so powerful and they're so, I guess, they're on their own clouds. They're on their own throne room. Off of that, it just tells you that, at least from my perspective, I don't know how well the common folk, the citizens, relate to their type of stature.
And you could blame the commissioner. You could blame Adam Silver.
It's just the money. They make so much money. I think football players make a ton of money.
Sure.
There's some baseball players that are completely disconnected from society. Maybe it's because the hockey player makes a great living, but not like a break-the-bank generational wealth living. It's so much different in terms of how the leagues are constructed. So I think there's two sides to it. But, I mean, the basketball players, they're celebrities. They're A-list celebrities.
I just don't remember a stern NBA being something like this. I am maybe...
We don't need to rain. This is not turning
maybe
into
I am.
NBA. I'm just talking about the embodiment of representation in terms of whether they wear that flag.
Well, here's the thing. If they do this next year, if Adam Silver is smart enough to adopt what everyone wants him to adopt, and the players don't show up for it, then it's an even worse look. Yeah. Then it's like what?
Hockey also has the four countries. The NBA doesn't necessarily have that. The NBA does not have
It'll have
separate
to be world.
countries. Yeah, you're not going to get the French team in there. You might be able to get a Canadian team in there and fill with
Canadian
NBA players, but you're not going to get French guys who are in the middle of their professional season over in the Euro leagues. You're not going to be able to get them to go over the pond and start playing in an NBA-ran event for a week as a round-robin tournament.
Sure. I completely understand it. And until they get something solidified with FIBA and whatever the World Basketball Association
or they
was.
just do the international first, the U.S. versus the international. One game, or maybe a best of 3, or something along the lines of that, and then you call it quits after that, and you play the same teams 3 times. Maybe you do that, but you're not going to get that round-robin style because there's not a Sweden, there's not a Finland, there's not a Canada.
Do you think the NBA players care, Colin, right now about the current situation of the All-Star game and the game?
I think they like talking about it, but I think they make too much money where it's almost it's white noise.
And
they make too much money.
And listen, those arenas are still filled. Okay, people are still going to the games. Tickets are still selling.
It's a corporate thing now. It's not necessarily. The fans are priced out of a lot of these arenas. You can't go to a Knick game if you're a true Knick fan. It's all corporate people. It's a celebrity event. It's like the Super Bowl. It depends, of course. You go to a T-Wolves game, you're going to get some T-Wolves fans. But, I mean, those basketball events have turned into a lot of a corporate business side event. And it's less about the actual fan being in the building because tickets are expensive. It's hard to go to a game. The whole thing. I saw a little bit of what Joel Embiid was pulling off yesterday, and it just makes you think, like, oh, my God, these guys are brutal. So, I mean, maybe it's the amount of money they make. I don't know if they'd buy into something like this, but the NBA is going to have to adjust. They got pounded this week in terms of ratings, buzz, generated attention.
Right.
That is going to be a big – we've been talking about it all week, a big staple of what the NBA is going to now have to take steps forward in. It's now generating an interest in something international and invigorating pride of country. And whether that's going to work or not, I guess remains to be seen.
Totally. And if they don't show up, Kyle, if we're having all these conversations right now, they make these changes. We've talked to Giannis Antetokounmpo. He said he'd be all for it. We've talked to numerous NBA players saying that they'd be for this format. If we show up this time next year
is there a sense of being worried about if the USA loses?
Oh, absolutely. I think we do lose. How do we win? LeBron and Steph take over, control it like they did with the Olympics? Let's not forget these guys are going to be another year older, too. The Warriors, I understand Draymond Green, who is going to make a great broadcaster and is a good dude, but what the hell is he doing saying that they're going to win the championship this year? They're not even going to make the playoffs, let alone make the championship. So I just feel like with all of our quote-unquote horses and LeBron and Steph getting a year older and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander being, right in the prime of his career, Nikola Jokic in the prime of his career, Giannis, an absolute unicorn. Colin, explain to me how we win that game. I'm with you. Explain to me how.
Well, that's why I wonder if it's embarrassing for the USA.
Do they even do it?
It's detrimental if they go in and get killed.
Like Anthony Edwards. Everyone loves turning Anthony Edwards into this player that he's not. He's a great young player with a lot of.
On the other side of things, international play, these guys are not representing their country. They're representing international.
Sure.
Sure. Giannis is not representing Greece.
But
he's representing international.
It's a chance to don't you think they get up?
Stick it to the USA?
Yeah, right? Isn't that
that much animosity? Do they care?
I mean, they live here.
The USA guys might care. Will the international guys care about representing, quote, international? Will they care about that?
I think well, if I could take Giannis for face value, yes.
Because they're representing Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is representing Canada. He's playing with the Canadian team that he plays with every summer. The Wembanyamas of the world represents France.
Maybe put the
French team every summer.
Put the Maple Leaf badge or whatever badge for their country on the thing.
The badge doesn't matter. It's not
it does.
Who you play with.
Kyle, it's
He's
a soccer
playing with a guy
term.
from Greece,
Hang on here.
Slovenia, and Serbia.
It's a football term. Kyle, you play for the badge, mate. You got to play for the badge. I respect that guy. He plays for the badge.
So we got the Canadian playing with the Slovenian.
Playing for the badge.
Slovenian who's lobbing it up to the guy from Estonia. And then you got the guy in Greece starting on the back door.
Yeah. Coming together for a common cause to beat the USA, right? And then us, on the other hand, you can't lose. You wear according to Christian, you got to win every single event that you're in. You're in the red, white, and blue, brother.
Yes, if you're American, you should.
You can't lose. You're not allowed to lose.
It would be in the United States, so there's pressure there. I agree with you on the pressure. It's not hard to invigorate the United States. I don't think that's a problem. There's a sense of ego and pride to that. But I'm just curious, will that translate to the international side?
When the mighty LeBron and Steph decide to hang it up, Colin, honest to God, Anthony Edwards, that's the